Hey guys, this is Joy back again with another video, and I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching this. Thank you, appreciate it so much. I just wanted to say please be sure that you like and subscribe, comment, share to get this message out there. And the reason why I have this channel is really all about inspiring and motivating you guys to live your best life. And this is also a channel for helping victims of narcissistic abuse and survivors thrive and help them to move on, to heal, to feel empowerment, and to let them know that they're not alone and that they have someone that will listen to them, that will be understanding and be compassionate to them. So that's what this is all about. And I did want to let you guys know, so update. So I have a new Instagram for my narcissistic videos and tips and stuff like that. So it's called Live Narc Free. That's the Instagram. So it's Live Live Narc NRC. I'm sorry, NARC Free FREE. That's the name of the Instagram. So please be sure that you guys follow that and subscribe to the channel. And I'll have the website shortly. And I'm also going to be taking two online courses. One is called, like I mentioned, is e-therapist course. And the other one is actually, I decided to do this just for extra information and knowledge. It's a trauma study course. It's a lot about like mental health and development, a lot about like the brain, and just really like good information. So I'll be starting that very, very shortly. But in the meantime, I'll be giving you guys tips and strategies and just inspiration and motivation just for everyday life. And I'll be having my sessions available for you guys really soon, which I'm really, really excited. Like this is honestly, it feels good to like give back to those that have been through the abuse and that are trying to get through it, because it's tough. I've been there. It's a lonely place. It's hurtful, it's painful, but you can make it on the other side. So today's video, I wanted to talk about the female narcissist. So I mentioned in one of the my other videos, the one with my experience with narcissists, my aunt, she was a narcissist. I already told you what happened with her. Now I have two associates of mine that were narcissists, that were females. The first one, I actually met her at work. We became really good friends. The thing about her that I thought was pretty cool, like she was super funny, super like cool. She was a hustler. She was all about her money. We worked at JCPenney's for like it was like a couple months or so, and I just instantly we just started hanging out. We was going to lunch and stuff, and then she was like inviting me to her place, inviting me to her family get-togethers, because I remember hanging out with her family on 4th of July like years ago. It used to be so funny because all of her family would get drunk and just act a fool, and these are like elderly people like getting drunk. Like, so it was just too funny. But I remember, one time I had came to her when I was transitioning in between homes, and I asked her, I said, oh, like, do you mind if I come and stay with you until I can get myself together? And she was like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. And I didn't think much of it. I'm like, oh, okay, like, she's being genuine. She's, like, sincerely wants to see me get my own place and, like, really be helpful. But one of the things that I noticed, that she had a friend. Her friend was just kind of ghetto. I mean, a little ratchet. I mean, she was cool, but she was just kind of like just out there or whatever. And I noticed she would say like little smart comments about me being a vegetarian, and she was like, "Oh, how can you be a vegetarian? And what made you want to do it?" Like, just saying like little jabs or whatever. And I was just like, "Well, I'm doing it pretty much because I want to do it, and it's pretty much my business, And I remember like she didn't really say anything about it. Like she just kind of let it go. Like maybe she felt that way too. And I don't know, I remember like when I was like looking for apartments and stuff, and she'd be like, oh, you're gonna find your place. She was like, well, why don't you just stay like for a couple more months, or like live with me for a longer time? And I was like, well, no, I want to be independent, have my own stuff. And she was like, ugh, just like say like little things that was like she really didn't want me to like have my own stuff. Like she wanted me to stay with her, because that narcissists, especially like the females, are like super duper controlling, and the females are also very competitive. They don't want to see you do better than them. They're constantly competing. They're constantly just comparing themselves to you. Like a whole bunch. And it's crazy, like, because she just kept, like, it wasn't like an everyday thing that she would like compare herself to me, but I was really just all about making progress. And I felt like she was trying to stop that progress because she knew that, I am a go-getter. Like, if I want something, if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it. Not being boastful or like cocky. It's just like I know God is with me. And if it's God's will, then I'm going to accomplish whatever it is that I need to accomplish, point blank, period. And I think she got a little scared and she was like, oh, well, is she gonna do better than me and like move out and like get all this great stuff or whatever? Because, and not just narcissists, but any toxic person, they secretly envious of you and they don't want to see, they want you to do good but not better than them. And so you know I kind of like just started noticing like all this stuff just kind of like happened with her. And out of nowhere, I went up to her and I was like, hey, I was like, so and so. Again, I'm not putting her name out there or the other person I'm gonna tell you about, but I was like, hey, it's like, you're not really my friend, are you? And I was just like, like, what's going on? Like, I don't really feel like you're my friend. And she was like, well, why did you say that? I was like, well, because you said this, you said that. And she was like, well, she's like, I don't know why you feel that way, or I'm sorry you feel that way. It wasn't nothing really sincere. Like, she really didn't care, like, what was going on. I think if anything, she was kind of surprised that I even, like, brought it up. But long story short, I ended up moving out, and I never really heard from her ever again. And that was a good thing because that really just showed me, like, who she really was. And then the second one was a little bit more hurtful because this person was actually a friend of mine for 10 years. We actually grew up together in the same home state. And she ended up moving to Vegas. And I ended up moving to Cali. But I don't know, like, it was so weird because it's like when I first moved here, I lived with my aunt. So I was under her supervision. But me and her, we would still keep in contact. But just, my life just got busy. Her life got busy. And we just wasn't able to be in contact like how we used to be. Things just changed. But I remember, like, when I would go back home to visit, and, it would be cool and all, but I just noticed that shift in me. Like, I just wasn't liking the same things anymore. Like, I didn't like going out partying as much, or I didn't like drinking as much as like I used to, or I was really just thinking about, okay, what is my future going to look like? How am I going to make money? And how am I going to leave my mark? Like, what's going to be my contribution? Like, how are people going to remember me, like, when I'm gone? Like, that's how I was thinking. This is when I was like 23, 24. And and again, I wasn't making her a bad person. It was just, we were just on two different level planes. I just wanted more with my life, and I think that made her kind of envious and like try to compare herself to me. And I remember I was doing this network marketing company called MCA, and I was really doing a good job with it. And we were friends on Facebook. And I remember one time she made a comment in my inbox saying like, oh, why do you keep promoting this? I don't want to see that. And I was like, oh, well, if you don't want to see it, then you could hide it on your feed, or you could just go ahead and delete me, because the way that she came at me was just, it was kind of like rude. Like, you wouldn't say that to a friend, but I just kind of took it with a grain of salt. I was like, whatever. But long story short, she ended up deleting me, which I was just kind of like, whatever, I gotta do what I gotta do. But then I think it was back in like 2012, and I hadn't heard from her in a while. But, I mean, we was still like, I guess, associates. Like, we just still knew of each other because we had been friends for a while. But then I remember she contacted me. Basically, she made up a story talking about how she was thinking of like moving either to, I think she was really considering moving to like the South or either California. She was wondering, she wanted a roommate, and she told me that she had a snake. And I was just like, I was considering it, but I was like, nah, not a snake. Like. So that ended up not happening. So long story short, she ends up moving to Vegas, and I was really happy for her. She moved to Vegas all the way from Delaware. And so yeah, like, and then I actually started modeling in late 2014, and I was really getting a lot of attention. Give me, guys, one sec, I want to try this. Sorry. It's really good. So I started modeling, and which I still model now. but freelance. And so, yeah, like I would be getting a lot of comments, a lot of likes, and she was following me because I have two Instagrams. And please be sure that you follow me on Instagram. My first Instagram is joylarkin12, and the second Instagram is joyrich123. But anyways, she ended up contacting me regarding, like, she was asking me about modeling. She was pretending like she wanted to model, but she just wanted to find out. She was just being nosy and just trying to compare her life to mine. She was just telling me like how she was able to move from Delaware to Vegas, and just really like trying to like one up me. And I didn't realize that right away. But now that I look back and I was like, okay, narcissists do that anyway. They're always, especially the females, they're just, like I said, they're always competing. They're always trying to get one up on you. And they're secretly jealous. And they want to see you fail, just like the male narcissist. But yeah, so she was pretending like she wanted to model and stuff like that, asking me for advice. And she was like, she went to the mall, and I think one of the modeling agency is Barzan or something like that. She said that they had contacted her, or they saw her in the mall, and they wanted her to be a model. I don't believe I mean, that may have happened, but knowing her, it probably was a lie, sadly. But anyways, so to fast forward everything, so this was actually last year. I had mentioned to her that I was thinking of going to Vegas to, like, for New Year's. And this was, I want to say, when did I mention this to her? I think it was in October, I said. And then out of nowhere, I was like, oh, like, do you want to meet up or whatever, or let's hang out? And she was like, oh yeah, like, of course, or something like that. And then out of nowhere in November, she texts my phone and she's all like, "Oh, how far are you from Hollywood?" And I was like, "I'm so this far from Hollywood." And I was like, "Why did you ask that?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm in town." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's awesome." But yeah, so that was that. And then long story short, we end up meeting up. And I just remember this like look that I saw on her face, like, because I was looking for parking, because she had drove all the way from Vegas to Cali, and she was trying to make it seem like she was coming to see me, but she was actually only coming to prove that she was better than me and that she had beat me to go in to see her in Vegas. So she came to Cali in her car and with her dog or whatever. And this is how I knew that she for sure wasn't a friend of mine. Or I was just kind of like waiting to see like what was going to happen, because I'm really like, I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I'm like, let me just really be sure. So as I'm looking for parking, I found the spot, but she, for some reason, I felt like she didn't even want me to find a spot. Like, if she did want me to find a spot, she wanted it to be like really far. But I just remember like looking, and I just saw this like real evil look. Like, it was just really hard to explain, but it's just something like, because I'm an empath, and it's just really like, you just know, like, you could feel if someone is jealous of you. You could feel like how that person is feeling about you. And so I go inside her hotel, and immediately I saw her dog, and I was like, "Oh, you have a dog?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm not a dog person." She was like, "Oh, why are you not a dog person? Like, who does that?" Or some. She was just saying like, I said, "I'm a cat person." I'm like, "Who likes cats?" Just like putting me down right away. And then I was telling her that I was considering moving to Atlanta, and she was like, don't move to Atlanta. Like, I had this really bad experience. Just like something that a friend of mine would not talk to me like that. So that's why I was like, for one, she's being abusive, and two, like, she really just does not like me. Like, this is not a friend, or she's just toxic. And so that was that. And then the next day, she texts me and she's all like, "Oh, like, what are you doing today?" And I was like, "I'm hanging out with my friend. We're going to the gym." And she was like, "Oh, well, what do you have planned?" And so long story short, we ended up going to the Yard House in downtown LA. And that was really cool. But I was like, okay, let me just see, because something was just off about that day before, or last night or whatever, when I saw her. Excuse me. So we're at the table, just waiting for our food, and we just start talking. And I say something about like her niece, like, because she has like a lot of nieces and nephews. She has a big family. And I was like, oh, like, was so and so like pregnant or whatever? She was like, why would you disrespect me like that? Why, like, really? Like, and I was just like, it was not that serious. Like, you didn't have to, say all that. So just really like just criticizing me and just automatically like, just trying to put me down. So what I think her whole reasoning for coming to California was to destroy my energy, to destroy the vibes that I had going on, like as far as like modeling. I was really progressing, which I still am. And she just wanted to destroy that. She wanted to see me fail because she was just miserable with her life, because she's a bartender, and she really was like on call. So she was just literally in Cali, I guess, to network and see like if she could see herself living there. But she was trying to make it seem like she had actually came to see me and to catch up, but that wasn't the case, because not only that, but uh so when I saw, oh, so she posted pictures of us up, while where she came to Cali. She put on her Facebook like, oh, 10 years, the friendship or something like that. And then she had this picture of us when we were in front of the Staples Center. And then after, so she went back to Vegas, and we still kept in contact, and she had texted me like just weird random stuff. This is like, I was like, I know she's not normal. I was like, she must be a narcissist, because narcissists, once they find their target, then they hone in. They'll love bomb you, they'll idolize you, they give you all this attention, and out of nowhere they start to devalue you, and then they discard you. So I literally was like in that idolization stage for a while, and then I immediately got into that devaluation stage. So because she was saying, well, for one, she had said like, oh, my mom was so happy to see you, and this video may be long. I might try to do it up to 20 minutes, but I just think this is interesting though. But she was like, oh, my mom was so happy to see you. This is her saying this in the text, and I was like, oh, I'll tell your mom I said hi. And then another time she was saying like, oh, I ran into your long lost cousin from this place or whatever. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was my cousin or something like that. That's what I said, just kind of playing along with it just to see. And then she hits me up. She's all like, oh, your cousin, he tried to hit on me or something like that. And then that was what did it, because I was just like, what is she trying to do? But not only that, but all along, before she even came to California, while she was still in Vegas, she had followed me, and I followed her back. And I noticed that like she would literally like mimic everything that I would do, like mimic the hairstyles, mimic the clothes, mimic what I would say, mimic the emojis. Like it was really, really scary. So I knew she was stalking me. I knew she was watching my page, and I know she probably was watching this video. But she was just, I don't know what it was. Like I don't know like why she was comparing herself to me, because that's what I even told her. So pretty much I asked her, I said, so and so, are we friends? And it took her a while to answer, but she was like, oh, we're not best friends like how we used to be, more so associates. Why do you ask? And I was like, well, just the little things that you have been saying recently just really made it seem like we're not friends. And I was just like, I just felt like uncomfortable, and it just was weird, And she was like, oh, well, what was it? And then she was saying like she apologized, and I told her everything that it was. And I told her that I did forgive her, but I said that, I'm going to cut this friendship off, because I was like, we outgrew each other, and I don't really see any point why we should be friends, because I felt like whenever I was around her, she was putting me down, trying to make me feel bad about myself for no reason. I didn't do anything to her. I'm just living my life the best way that I can, trying to become the greatest person I can be. And if that makes you jealous, that brings up envious, or yeah, you shouldn't like compare yourself to me that badly. Or if you like want to do the same thing, like you can ask for help, or you can ask for my advice or whatever, but don't like try to put me down because I'm trying to be the best that I can be. You know what I mean? Like that's not cool. So yeah, so long story short, I end up just cutting it off. And she was like, oh, so you just gonna like cut off the 10 years of friendship? I'm like, yeah, because I see that you know, this isn't working out. And then the last thing I remember, she was saying that the guy that was my so-called cousin, she said that his dad went to my brother's funeral, like when he found out. And I was like, that was the last day of the year of 2016, and that's when I was like, this, she's not my friend. Because like, why would you say something like that? That was really hurtful to bring up my brother like that and say that his dad went to his funeral when he found out, or something like, just random. Like, and I knew she did this on purpose, because I remember like what my aunt did and how she tried to ruin my first day of the year. That was back in 2015. So that's why. And then not only that, but this is a long video, I'm sorry you guys, 5 more minutes. But even when we were at the little restaurant that we went to when she came here, I was telling her like, oh, my dad has an Instagram, my dad has a Facebook. She was like, oh yeah, my dad has one too, and he leaves like comments and stuff, just like automatically just turning the conversation back onto her, which is what narcissists do. It's all about them, and they have to be better. Excuse me, they have to be better than you. And again, like I said, the females are just super competitive. But yeah, and then I remember like she was talking about another friend of mine's, and you know, she's doing pretty well for herself, and she was just saying all these mean things about her, like smearing her. And I said, like, if that's working for her, then good for her. Like, I'm not here to judge her. Like, that's, hey, it is what it is. You know, she was like, well, I'm judging and this and that. I'm like, well, that's on you, you know, like, that's your personal opinion, you know. But so yeah, that's what I wanted to say about female narcissists. That was my experience with a female narc. And yeah, they're just as bad as the men. They're more catty. They have a little bit more drama. They're super competitive, super envious, super conniving, condescending. And I guess they use their body to get what they want. They use like what they have to get what they want, and they just want a man to take care of them. And I remember she would always say, the girl that I'm talking about, the one that I had a friendship with 10 years, she would be like, man, like, I can't find a man, and this and this and that. Just like super negative, super trying to just drain my energy. And it was just super toxic. I had to let it go. I had to let it go. But I wish her the best. And she did so-called apologize, but it has no meaning, because she ended up deleting my she blocked me on Instagram, and she deleted our pictures that we took together, and she deleted me on Facebook and blocked me. But I looked on her, I tried to see if she was like going to re-add me, but she unblocked me on Instagram. So I know, like I said, I know she's still watching my page and stuff. So I mean, it's pretty sad, but that's just how narcissists are. But thank you guys for watching the full video. And I wanted to let you guys know that I do have my narcissistic page on Instagram. It's Live Narc Free. That is the username. So please be sure that you follow that. And please subscribe to my channel. I love you guys so much. I hope you guys have a good night. All right, bye.